Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak for January 2nd, 2021. Yes, it's been 9 months since this show started, and a lot of Americans have died since the beginning of this show, which was April 2nd. A lot more will die in the next 9 months. I'm Heerak Christian Kim, a candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. And I predict that minimum 3 million Americans will die in 2021, most likely before June, as hospitals run out of hospital beds. 100% of Americans can die. So you're going to see a spike up. So I predict anywhere from 3 million to 30 million Americans to die in the year 2021, most likely by June. And obviously death will continue in June, July, August, although fewer than during winter. And then September will start another cycle of uphill climb, and massive number of Americans would die in the flu season that's a year away. COVID-19 most likely is forever. We know this because COVID-19 is a 365 days a year virus, which means it will never go away, because it will continue to live in their hosts, humans, as humans pass the virus from one person to another. And no vaccine will work, or even the vaccine that had worked will stop working, because COVID-19 will mutate and change to evade vaccines, so that will be useless. Anybody who knows anything about MRSA or VRE knows that anything we can throw at the virus or bacteria, they can find a way around it. And anybody could get it. Like MRSA, which is a antibiotic resistant form of Staph aureus, you can get it. Anyone can get it. So in a hospital setting, if some patient has MRSA, MRSA, you could Google it and found out more about it. Every nurse has to wear a gown, a glove, because anything that patient touches can infect you with this MRSA, which is highly infectious and can be deadly. And so you can imagine what could happen with COVID-19 when it starts to develop defense mechanism against the vaccines. You're going to have super duper COVID-19, which is going to slaughter people who get it at a much higher level than now. So right now, only 2% of people who get COVID are dying in America. But if there's a super duper COVID-19 that is very strong as the result of its reaction against vaccine, maybe 30% of all who get it will die. So you can see the difference. If you assume that COVID-19 is go away, most likely you are wrong, because scientifically, there is no proof. There's no reason for you to assume that. HIV virus is also a virus, and it has been around for decades. It's not going away. It's going to continue forever, killing hundreds of thousands every year, infecting and killing hundreds of thousands every year. In the same way, hepatitis C virus is a virus that's forever. It's been around for decades. It infects people every day, and it's probably going to continue forever. So there's no reason for you to assume that COVID-19 is not forever. Wishful thinking does not make a fact. You see what I'm saying? Just because you wish that COVID-19 will go away doesn't make it so. So you need to grow up and start acting like an adult and accept the fact that COVID-19 can be forever. Don't be a child. Don't act like COVID-19 is going to go away. It's not. Okay? Barring any divine miracle, COVID-19 is not going away. Dr. Fauci, I'm sure, is realizing that this is absolutely true. So is Dr. Redfield, Director of CDC. So is Dr. Han, Director of FDA, Food and Drug Administration. So is Dr. Collins, the head of National Institutes for Health. I'm sure all of them are coming to the realization COVID-19 is forever, because there's enough data in science to prove that that's absolutely true. What does this mean? Heerak Christian Kim, that's who I am. I'm running for US Congress in Virginia's 8th District. I'm predicting that up to 2.7 billion people in the world can die from COVID in the next decades to come. This is going to kill people every day of the year for 365 days of the year for many decades to come. So yeah, barring any divine miracle, don't expect herd immunity, because the vaccine mutates so constantly, and there are thousands of strains. So don't expect a herd immunity to develop. It's not going to develop. Yeah, so you know, I hate to be right, but I'd rather be wrong, but I know I'm right. That's a blessing and a curse of being a Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century. It's a blessing because it's good to be right, but it's a curse because I'm generally right. So whatever I say in this show generally will come true. You know, so it's a blessing because you can prepare for it. And that gives you a chance to survive. Now, for those of you who got COVID-19 vaccine, and I'm talking to you nurses and doctors out there, don't think that that's going to protect you. And you know this. I mean, I don't need to remind you, you know this. Because you don't know when COVID-19 will mutate to become like a VRE or MRSA. And if you're not wearing a mask, you get infected and die. Because you can never predict when your vaccine that may protect you becomes defenseless. You just don't know when that's going to happen. And you better be wearing a mask when that happens. So even if you get the vaccine, you have to wear a mask. You have to social distance, minimum 6 feet. Preferably isolate yourself. You will not have a normal life. Get all the vaccine you want, you will not have a normal life. Normal if you define it by your existence before 2019. So yeah, if you want to get the vaccine, go right ahead. But sooner or later, even if that works, and I don't think it works, but let's presume, let's give the benefit of the doubt it works. Eventually, COVID-19 will find itself around it and infect you and kill you. In a sense, vaccine can be more dangerous for something like COVID-19 because you force a mutation that's going to be super duper COVID, right? If we didn't have a vaccine, we're just quarantining, then you're going to have just the original form of COVID that kind of mutates but evolve over a slow period. But when you have vaccines, COVID-19 is forced to become more aggressive in order to infect people. Think of it this way. You have an army, US Army, and you are stationed in Mexico. There's no reason for you to fight. So you're not going to reinforce or do anything. You're just going to stay there because it's a peaceful area. But let's say you start a war and you're fighting a war. China, you invade China and China is fighting you and killing you. You're going to develop strategies to penetrate Chinese defenses, to overcome Chinese modern weapons, newest weapons. And you may innovate to develop better weapons in order to fight the weapons that Chinese have developed that you didn't know existed, the new weapons of China. This military analogy is apropos. In the same way, when you introduce a vaccine, the other side will up its game. So what ends up happening is we have a more lethal form of COVID that develops as the result of the war between humans and the virus. It is always safer to quarantine because you're fighting a weaker alpha version of COVID and you have a better chance of survival. But once you start introducing antibodies, vaccines, you're forcing COVID-19 to strategize to become more dangerous to match the warfare that you are creating. So it's like the Star Trek principle, live long and prosper. Whatever weapon you introduce into a system, that determines the level of the warfare. So if you're fighting wars with a sword, you kill less than if you fight a war with muskets. If you fight a war with muskets, you kill less than if you fight a war with machine guns. You see what I'm saying? When Europeans started a war against Indians, Native Americans, and they brought horses from Europe, eventually Native Americans adapted to the warfare and start using horses as weapons. So whatever your enemy uses, you eventually adapt that to your own army. So whereas Indians, Native Americans used to use bow and arrow, eventually they start fighting with guns. You see what I'm saying? Guns that the Europeans brought. And so think of COVID-19 warfare in the same way. Had we just quarantined, we have better chance to get rid of COVID and survive. The more we introduce into the war, COVID-19 will evolve to meet the challenge, and we're going to have a super duper COVID, which will slaughter people. So I'm predicting 2.7 billion people around the world dying in the next few decades from COVID and its variants, mutants. And I don't think that I'm far off. Let's see what happens in year 2021. I'm predicting 3 to 30 million Americans will die. Obviously, if 3 to 30 million Americans die in 2021, which I am 90% sure will happen, then you can understand the potential of 2.7 billion people dying. So let's compare notes on January 2nd, 2022, and see how many people died in the year 2021. Yeah. Do you like the Japanese music in the background? Nice music. Japan is the only country that invaded us as a foreign nation, you know? Only nation so far that invaded our homeland. But we all know it's not going to be the last nation to invade our homeland. Yeah, as you know, I'm predicting that China, the Communist Red Army of China, which has over 50 million soldiers, will invade the United States with their state-of-the-art secret weapons that they're developing. And they are going to try to colonize America. They have the population to colonize it. They have 1.2 billion people. So they could even send 100 million people over here to colonize it. So they have human resources to colonize America if they can beat us in a war. And as we speak right now, as you hear me and watch me, China is working very hard on next generation weapons to make sure their invasion of our homeland becomes successful. They are probably working on a Star Wars to make our nuclear weapons obsolete. My prediction is in 10 to 20 years, 100% of our nuclear weapons will be obsolete because China would have created a safe net that will protect it from any nuclear weapon that's fired at it. They may already have it, we don't know. Or they may have a prototype that could lead to it. As you know, one of my theories is that COVID-19 is a biological weapon created by China to destroy the United States of America and its NATO allies. I still believe that's true. Let's see, we may find out in our lifetime, we may not. China may keep it secret, even if that's true, for 100 years. We don't know. A lot of confidential files in FBI secret vaults that you will never know. Yeah. Think of it this way. Let's say CIA found out that COVID-19 is a weapon China created. Do you think the Department of Defense will admit that it's a secret weapon that China created? Even if they know? Do you see what I'm saying? Department of Defense will be afraid to tell us the truth because they think there may be panic that runs through the country. So they're going to say, in lieu of national security, we are not going to reveal the truth. That's how they're going to do it. Yeah, so he will never know whether COVID-19 is a advanced next generation biological weapon created by China or not. If CIA or FBI are worried that you would panic at such a news. You see what I'm saying? Government is all about trying to control the population. That's why they're so hung up on laws and courts. And that's why they have secret services, agencies that safeguard national secrets that they want to withhold from their citizens. Quote, in the interest of national security. Yeah. Let's look at what happened in the last 9 to 10 months. April 4th, when I started my show, there were only 5,911 deaths. 5,911. By May 2nd, most of the deaths were in New York City and New Jersey. The death had jumped over 60,000. So in 1 month, 60,000 people have died. to 66,364. And then the death decreased, and about 40,000 died between May and June. So we have 106,180 people have died. And it decreased further in summertime, but we still have a lot of people dying. So about 20,000, 22,000 people died from June 2nd to July 2nd. So roughly 1,000 people per day. A little bit less than that because there are 31 days in a month. But 22,000 people have died. So, you know, maybe 800 people per day average have died. From July 2nd to August 2nd, the number went up to around 26,000. So it's closer to like maybe 900 deaths per day from July 2nd to August 2nd. From August 2nd to September 2nd, you had a jumping of death a little bit higher. So about 31,000 people have died from August 2nd to September 2nd, which equals to 1,000 deaths per day. So 800 deaths per day in July or June. And in July, 900 deaths per day. And in August, 1,000 deaths per day. So that's what we're going to have in 2021. Every day of summer 2021, we're going to have hundreds, probably more like thousands of deaths every day. That's what you're looking at right now. That happened in 2020. There's no reason for you to doubt that it will happen in 2021. It's 99.9% guaranteed it will happen in 2021. 99.9%. Guaranteed it will happen. You cannot escape it. So you think like right now is bad? Wait until June and July and August when nurses are burned out. So you probably have higher level of death. You know, a lot of nurses would have died by then too. Yes, summer 2021, over 1,000 people will die every day of the summer for 3 months of the summer. That's what you have to expect. I know you want to be a child, a little kid, and say, oh, COVID-19 is going away. Oh, the vaccine is going to take care of it. I believe in the liberal media. But you're wrong. I don't believe in the liberal media because they lie. Look at this number. Numbers don't lie. In 2020, June, average of 800 people died every day. Every day. July, 900 people died every day in the United States. July 2020. August 2020, 1,000 people every day, average died every day. You don't think this is going to happen in 2021? On what basis are you making that assumption? Yeah, because you're afraid, so you're just going to like hide your head like an ostrich, bury it in the ground, and ignore all the truth and facts and science? Is that what you were telling me? I don't believe in the liberal media that lies and say vaccines will protect you. No, vaccines are already outdated. As of January 2nd, 2021, no vaccine will work. They're already outdated. Because we have 2 identified mutant strands, one from United Kingdom, one from South Africa, which scientists are not sure can be blocked by the vaccines. Most likely they're not. And then obviously there are all these mutations that have not been identified yet. Yeah, any vaccine you get now is useless. It's useless. It's not going to protect you. So yes, June 2020, 800 people died every day. June 2021, probably more like a few thousand people die every day. Few thousand. It's only gonna get worse. It's not gonna get better. Yeah, you thought somewhere nobody was dying? Jeez. Just watch my show every day. I talked about it. So what happened from September to October? That started decreasing again. So we went down to about 22,000. So about, 750 to 800 deaths per day. So still a lot of people are dying, but there's there's a decrease. So what happened from October to November? The numbers start increasing again. So you have about 24,000. So it's going up a little bit. So around, 800 people, 830 people that start dying every day in the whole month of October. Yes, there is no day without death. There will be no day without COVID death in 2021. Every day will be filled with COVID death. Every day of 365 days a year in America, in year 2021 will be filled with deaths. Most likely thousands of deaths every day. That's what we're seeing in year 2021. Dr. Fauci, tell me I'm wrong. I challenge you to disprove me, to prove me wrong. I challenge you, Dr. Fauci. So I know I'm right. On November 2nd, 231,320 people have died on November 2nd. So from October to November 2nd, 24,000, right? As I said. How about November 2nd to December 2nd? 42,000 people have died. So about 1,150 people are dying every day in the month of November. Yes, the deaths are increasing. Now, what happened from November to this what happened from December to January? Look at this. Look at the numbers here. December to January. About 80,000 people have died. So the biggest jump before December was April 2nd to May 2nd, when we had about 61,000 people die. So an average of like 2,000 people per day in April. But December beat that number because it had 80,000 deaths in 1 month. So about 2,300 death average. What do you think is going to happen from January to February? January 2nd to February 2nd. It's winter, it's flu season. We have all these cases. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. January will be so horrific in terms of COVID-19 death. There will be doctors committing suicide left and right throughout the United States of America. Do you remember the movie? Where is that movie? Horror. Do you remember that movie of Vietnam? Movie about Vietnam. And it portrays the horror of the war in Vietnam. And soldiers are just going crazy. Literally, they're like going crazy. They're flipping. That's what's going to happen in January with doctors and ICU nurses. There are going to be doctors and ICU nurses who are literally going to go crazy. They're going to be going horror, horror. That's what you're expecting. That's what you are expecting. In year 2021, starting with January, there will be so many deaths in the month of January in the United States from COVID. You're going to be shocked. Every single person in America will be shocked. And that's not going to stop there, because February is going to be far worse than January. Yeah. I told you in summer to go to the beach with your family, right? To make sure you keep safe and social distance, because we're going to have 6 months of hell. You should have listened to me. If you didn't go to the beach in June, you missed your opportunity. Because in the next 6 months, you'll be burying dead people. Your children, your husband, your wife. You're going to be burying a lot of dead people. Death will be everywhere. Well, the Japanese songs kind of fits the theme of this anniversary episode. Death is coming. COVID-19 death is coming for you and your children. See the music fits. I just wanted to see if the music fits the theme, but it does. So what are you going to do? Make the best out of your time with your children now, because you don't know when they're going to die, or you're going to die. You just don't know. Yeah. Tragedy. 25% of the cases right now in January 2nd, there's 84,535,117 cases in the world. 20,396,243 of those cases are in the United States of America. 25%. In terms of death, you have 1,834,963 people have died in the world. And in America, we have 349,933, between 20 to 30%. Tragedy has happened in America, for God's sake. We've been averaging 800 to like 2,500 deaths per day, every day of 2020 since April 2nd. How is that not tragic? And it's going to be exponentially worse in 2021. Yes, exponentially worse. I'm predicting that 10,000 Americans will die every day sometime in January. Yes, we have a long month of January ahead. Yes. A lot of you are going to die, unfortunately, especially if you live in cities. Arlington is not a city, but it's close to DC. So city and the surroundings, a lot of people are going to die. Unfortunately, a lot of people. We're not children here. We need to live in a reality of what probably will happen. You see what I'm saying? Do not live in the fictional world. Live in the real world. Nice. It's a nice Japanese song. Ducky loves Japanese songs. Harry the Owl says not so much. Harry the Owl is not really into Japanese sad songs. It is pretty sad. Kind of depresses you listening to the song. But then it makes you think too. So there's time to be happy, there's time to be sad. There's time to be superficial, there's time to be deep. Right? Yeah. So citing incoming travelers, Turkey becomes the 33rd country to find the virus variant first identified in Britain. 33. 33 countries now have the aggressive COVID mutant. Yeah. See how quickly it spreads? A couple of weeks later, 33 countries have it. Yeah. Can you imagine if a MRSA or VRE version of COVID is created? It'll spread to 33 countries in a couple of weeks. Yes, this is why I'm saying 2.7 billion people will die from COVID in the next few decades. COVID-19 is forever. Possibly. So this is New York Times. Why do you think it will go away? I mean, don't believe the liberal media that's like acting like it's going to go away. It's not science, right? People who think that COVID-19 will just go away on its own, it's speculation. It's superstition. It's not science. There's nothing in science to say that COVID-19 must go away. HIV didn't go away. Hepatitis C virus didn't go away. Why do you think COVID's going to go away? On what basis are you making that statement? COVID-19 is here to stay. We are in our normal now, or new normal. So Turkey slammed its doors to travelers from Britain on Friday. Yeah, that's yesterday. Saying that it had found 15 infections. 15 infections with the new, more transmissible variant of the virus that first emerged in England. All of the 15 were among recent arrivals from the United Kingdom. So people who flew in from the United Kingdom brought the virus. That's what it's saying. Turkey's health minister, Fahrettin Koca, issued a statement saying that the 15 people infected with the variant were in isolation, so they put them in quarantine, and that their contacts were being traced and placed under quarantine. So every plane where they flew, they're being traced. It may be too late, right? If they flew 747 from London to Istanbul, and one person who flew was found to have COVID, probably a lot of people in that plane got infected in the plane ride over. So it's too late, really. That's the scariest thing. So it's probably already spreading all over Turkey right now. You see why COVID-19 can kill 2.7 billion people in the next few years, next few decades? Yeah. It's simple math. In countrywide checks, the statement said the virus had not been detected in anyone other than travelers who arrived from Britain. Well, that's now. Oh, that was then. Now it's different. Yeah, if you have 33 countries, now everybody's spreading it all over the place. That's the tragedy of COVID-19. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. So the question is, do you want to survive or not? That's the question you have to ask. What is the most important to you? Life, Liberty or pursuit of happiness? What is the most important to you? You gotta decide. You can't have all of them. You cannot have all three. If you choose life, you may have to give up liberty. You may have to give up pursuit of happiness. If you choose liberty, you may have to give up life, and you may have to give up pursuit of happiness. If you choose pursuit of happiness, you may have to give up life and liberty. That's the situation we're in. Yeah, you may not have asked for this, but you're in it. You see what I'm saying? So deal with it. I don't believe the liberal media that tries to lie to you and say everything's going to be okay. Everything is not going to be okay. Your children will die. Your husband will die. Some of you will lose your husband and your children, and you'll be alone as a widow at the age of 45 to spend the rest of your life in loneliness. And some of you will kill yourself because you've lost your husband and all your children, and you're absolutely alone because your mother and father died from COVID too. That's what you're looking at right now. Yeah, it's no joke. A more transmissible variant of COVID-19 is a potential catastrophe in and of itself. So the second article, the title is "The Mutated Virus is a Ticking Time Bomb." Yes. Yeah. You know, I created this show to save you and your children from COVID-19. Lying to you and saying the vaccines will save you is not going to save your life and the life of your children. It's better to live in the real world where you and your children actually survive COVID than in a fictional world where you and your children die from COVID. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So continuing on in the second article, if anything, given the stage in the pandemic we are at, which stage is that? The beginning. A more transmissible variant is in some ways much more dangerous than a more severe variant. So let's see what they mean. That's because higher transmissibility subjects us to a more contagious virus spreading with exponential growth, whereas the risk from increased severity would have increased in a linear manner, affecting only those infected. Like, if you have 1 million people getting it because of the aggressive strain of COVID, even if 1% dies, that's 10,000 deaths. If 10% dies, that's 100,000 deaths. You see what I'm saying? This uncertainty in understanding the variant's exact mechanisms means that we don't know if our existing tools, masks, distancing, and disinfecting are as effective as they were compared with an identical scenario with the regular variant. That's what I've been saying, right? Yeah, that's what I've been saying. The vaccine might have protected you from the regular variant. There's thousands of variants even in the regular, quote, regular variant. So not all of them are going to protect you. But now with the new variant that's much more aggressive, a 2.0 generation COVID, none of the vaccines will work. None of them will work. I don't believe the liberal media that just, it's like a used car salesman, you know? They promise you the world and then you get a lemon, what I call the lemon vaccine. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lemon. All the vaccines are like lemon. Eventually the COVID will outsmart the vaccines, and all you did was inject yourself with an experimental mRNA virus that could that may cause your cells to become cancerous. Who knows? They don't know. None of the vaccine creators know what harm it would do in the long run. They don't know because they just created it. They don't know what it's going to do like 1 year from now, 2 years from now. Why do you think I did not take the vaccine? Because I don't want to inject myself with something 2 years from now. Everybody's like, oh, everyone who took the vaccine had, 70% of them developed cancer, breast cancer, I don't want to be in that number. You know what I'm saying? That's why I didn't take the vaccine. I had the chance to be the first one to take the vaccine in the state of Virginia because I'm a registered nurse. But I'm like, this is experimental vaccine. Who knows what it's going to do? And obviously, I know science. I know COVID-19 will mutate. So I know the vaccines will become outdated, obsolete. So I'm like, I'm not going to inject myself with an experimental vaccine when I know COVID-19 is going to mutate and the vaccine will be useless. What's the point? You see what I'm saying? If vaccine works, of course I will take it. I'm a big champion of vaccines. I think vaccines are the greatest things that happen in science. That's what I believe, but not experimental vaccines that don't work. Obviously, if the vaccines work from now until next Christmas, I'll take the vaccine next Christmas. But I don't think that will be the case. Third article. Florida becomes third state to get super COVID, and it's not the super duper COVID that's going to develop from the vaccines. So Florida becomes third state to get super COVID, and California finds 3 more cases by Megan Sheets in Daily Mail. Officials said the man is in his 20s. Oh, officials said the main man is in his 20s, lives in Martin County, and has no history of travel. So you don't even have to travel. You could get it because let's say this man had talked to a girl from England. He could get it, like at a bar or at Disney World, wherever. Doesn't matter where you are, or a grocery store. It's highly contagious. By definition, you're going to get it if you talk to somebody who has it, right? It's highly contagious. Yeah. Oh man, it's going to be nightmare January. Watch what happens in January. It's going to be nightmare. This is when I find comfort in the fact that I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. That if I die, I go to heaven. I mean, geez, that's like my only hope and comfort in life. That I am Christian, that I'm a child of God, and if I die, I go to heaven. That is such a comforting thought. Death holds no power for true Christians. Continuing on, California officials also confirmed 3 more people have been infected with the virus variant. The state now has 4 cases of the strain. A 30-year-old man tested positive on Wednesday, and 3 more men, 2 in their 40s and one in his 50s, also have been confirmed to have the strain. None of the men knew each other. Can you imagine? They did not know each other, so obviously these are spreading aggressively. Yes, tragedy is unfolding. I'm just giving you some time to reflect on your mortality, because you know there's a high chance you will die, especially if you live in a city or urban area. What have you done with your life? I mean, have you done anything meaningful with your life that you're proud of? This is time to think about these things. What have you done with your life? You see what I'm saying? I hope that you will spend Sunday thinking about this important thing. If you're a mother or father, what have you done for your child, really? You go to work, you let your local school take care of your child. What have you, as mom and dad, have done for your child? What if you die in February? I mean, geez, what will your child remember you by? What have you really done for your child? Um, yeah, this is the time to reflect, because anything could happen in year 2021, which I'm calling the year of COVID-19 death. Yes, year of COVID-19 death. It's really bad. Um, and that's why, as I say, my only comfort is knowing that my Savior liveth. He has risen from the dead. He has defeated death. And that if I die from COVID-19, I too will defeat death and rise to life eternal in Jesus Christ. That is a source of such joy and comfort. I have nothing to worry about. As St. Paul said, to live is Christ, to die is gain. If I live, I'm going to live for the glory of God. Ad gloria me deorum. If I live, I will live for the glory of God. If I die, then it is gain. As St. Paul said, to live is Christ, to die is gain. And that's why I have joy every day. People who know me marvel because I am a happy person. Why am I so happy? Because Jesus is in my heart. I mean, for God's sake, I'm a child of God because of Jesus. What's there not to be happy about? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Jesus is the source of all joy. Obviously, I like to get married to a beautiful woman and have a lot of children with her, enjoying the process of having and building the family. But and I'm sure that will give me a tremendous amount of joy and pleasure. And I hope that God will grant me this. But that still will not transcend the joy that I have in Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? No earthly joy can. And that's why it's called heavenly joy, or I'm calling it heavenly joy. I hope you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, because you don't know what you're missing out on. And obviously, eternity awaits. Do you want to miss out on that for eternity? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, when you go to church tomorrow, think about that. Stop whining about, God, take COVID away. You're not focusing on the right issues here, right? Focus on the right issues. Because God wants you to focus on the right issues. God's not going to take COVID away. As you know, COVID-19 is a punishment for Romans chapter 1 violation. As long as United States legalizes gay marriage, COVID-19 is not going away. Or, God could replace COVID-19 with another plague of God that's even more deadly. But it's not going away. Because we know from the Bible, God enforces his law of God. Romans chapter 1 is a law of God. with his holy angels. And that could be disease, it could be famine, it could be earthquake, it could be flooding, it could be many things. COVID-19 is not going away because COVID-19 is God's chastisement of you Christians out there. God's chastising you Christians out there for not illegalizing gay marriage in America. So he's not going to take it away because this is tailored for you, evangelical Christians in America. God wants you to suffer from this. Because, Romans chapter 1 says wrath of God will visit. And God's just keeping his promise, his word. God is God of his word. Yeah, it's not going to go away. Satan's not making you suffer. It's Jesus who's sending this COVID to you and your family. But what are you going to do? Reject Jesus? Then you're going to go to eternal damnation now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm an expert theologian, so I could say with 99.9% confidence that this is a tailor-made chastisement of God for proliferation of homosexuality, as shown in Romans chapter 1. Until we legalize homosexuality by national, state, and county laws, COVID-19 is not going to go away. Because it's a way God enforces his laws. God is a highly punitive individual. He punishes law violations. So God is punitive. I mean, we know this from the book of Genesis, where God decimates Sodom and Gomorrah for homosexuality. So as an expert theologian, I'm providing you with expert theological analysis on what's going on. Yeah, so go to church tomorrow, but you may die from COVID infection. So make sure you wear an N95 mask, which is the best mask. You gotta learn to use it. Because if you don't wear it correctly, you may still get infected with COVID. Think about the awesomeness of God. Awesomeness of God's law. And what God requires of you. That's who God is. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. I hope that you will have a good Lord's Day tomorrow, worshiping our Lord Jesus Christ. And obviously I said, blessed are you, Lord, who is the King of the world. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, our God, is the King of the world. Yeah. And in absolute monarchy, no one has rights, right? They must observe the law of the absolute monarch, and monarch who is absolute can do whatever he wants. So when we say Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, we are recognizing that we have no democratic rights when it comes to God's law or to Jesus Christ, because he's an absolute monarch. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. I hope that you will have a wonderful time at church tomorrow, thinking about the greatness of our God, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And his name is Jesus Christ. Happy Lord's Day, everyone. Bye. See you tomorrow.